I'm Caleb Sanford, and I will be performing my informative for NSDA districts. America has been split on just about anything. Is cereal cold soup? Is water wet? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We must really have intellectuals in this generation. But while there are many split issues in America, there is one that has more people misinformed more than any other: Confederate flags and monuments. More than 700 monuments are displayed all the way across this country. The Civil War has had a very high impact on this country, but it still doesn't really answer the question for today. Why do some Americans still support the Confederacy? And should those supporters be able to display monuments in America? In order to answer this question, we will first look at the history of the Confederacy. We will then look at their reasons for secession, and finally, racist intent. The Confederate States of America were 11 southern states that seceded from the Union in 1860. They started their own separate government and waged war against the Union to be defeated in 1865. The CSA was never a country because they were never recognized as one first. They were instead considered a nonpartisan democracy, meaning that they were just a separation from the Union. Keeping that in mind, let's look back at the Confederate flag. The original CSA flag had 7 stars and 3 stripes. However, the modern-day flag, the Confederate battle flag, has 13 stars and 2 stripes, representing the 13 southern states. The modern-day flag has been associated with Southern heritage, pride, and the commemoration for the Civil War. On the contrary, it has also been seen as a symbol of racism, slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, and white supremacy. You could say that this battle flag has fought a war of its own. Through the many debates on what the flag truly stands for, it is starting to become more evident. Some people fly the flag because they've simply just been told that it is a symbol of their Southern heritage. My purpose is to inform those people that while it might be a symbol of Southern heritage, it has always been a symbol of white supremacy. We can see this through their many reasons for secession. An article written by Adam Augustine states that convinced that their way of life, based on slavery, was irretrievably threatened by the election of Abraham Lincoln, 7 states of the Deep South, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana, seceded from the Union. There were many other reasons why they decided to secede, and we can see that through the declarations of causes. When looking at this graph, we can see that Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, and South Carolina all identify slavery as one of their main objectives. When reading the documents, it is very clear that slavery is one of their main objectives. When the North refused to enforce the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, an act that forced fugitive slaves going north be returned to the South, they were outraged and turned against the federal government. The icing on the cake was when Lincoln and his abolitionist views was elected, and Texas was dissatisfied with the federal military protection. Though these weren't their only reasons. An article, Everything You Know About the Civil War is Wrong, written by Jonathan Clark, states that 2/3 of tariffs were being paid by the South. Since the North was so focused on the evolution of industries, tariffs were decreased in the North while at the same time increasing the price of tariffs in the South. Though these reasons were also rooted in slavery. Southern economy was heavily rooted in imported goods. The tariffs made it hard for the British to pay for Southern cotton that was exploited from plantations. The Southerners believed that African Americans were inferior to them. They seceded to keep their formal way of economy based on slavery. So now that we know about the history of the Confederacy, let's look at the effect on modern day. We still see many of flags and monuments that commemorate the history of the Civil War. Ladies and gentlemen, these monuments are not a symbol of our history. They are instead a symbol of segregation and oppression in this country. Let me explain. Nathan Bedford Forrest, a man who made a grand in slave trade and the original Grand Wizard of the KKK, can be seen monumented in multiple different areas, including the capital of Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, these were not built in the late 1800s or early 1900s. These were built in 1970, during the end of the Civil Rights Movement and the assassination of Martin Luther King. Another example comes from Jeffrey Robinson's speech on Confederate monuments. He explains that there were heavy spikes in timelines when Confederate monuments were being built. One of them was from the late 1800s to about early 1921. What was happening during this time? Blacks were being lynched by the hundreds. Along with that, Black Wall Street was also burned down in 1921. Robinson explains that these monuments were built for people who had done nothing other than fight to maintain white supremacy. The second spike was from 1947 to 1968. While this was also a time of segregation and oppression, it was also the rise of the Dixie Grab Party. A man named Strom Thurmond brought back the Confederate flag as a symbol of segregation. A quote from Roy Harris in 1951 states, "The Confederate flag is coming to mean something to everybody now. It means the heart throbs of the people of the South. It is the cause of the white race and the cause of the white people. The Confederate flag means segregation." With all the information that has been given today, I want you all to realize, should we be able to fly these flags and monuments in America? Well, that's not really something I can answer for you. In America, we have freedoms to express how we feel, and that's what makes it so great. What you really need to ask yourself and remember is how far your freedoms then become hate, and if the hate is showing your character. I really hope that with the information given today, we can move forward as a society instead of pulling us back. I would like to conclude this speech with a very important quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that really explains our problems in the modern society. "There is nothing in all the world that is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." In 1865, the USA suffered from the bloodshed of the Civil War. This is the flag that was flown by America. This is the American flag. This is the symbol of our ongoing road to find freedom and pride. Let's have pride for America. Thank you.